It was a major breakthrough for intelligence, but stopping Khan was now no longer a priority. Afghanistan. Throughout the 1980s, a bloody battleground for invading Soviet troops and the fundamentalist Islamic resistance. American policy: defeat the Russians at all costs and bring down the evil empire. And they needed a regional ally.
It's clear that during the 1980s, the U.S. was receiving some very troublesome information about Pakistan's nuclear weapons program. At the same time, of course, the U.S. was depending on Pakistan as a conduit of assistance to the Mujahideen in Afghanistan in the hope of evicting the Soviet Union from Afghanistan. So even though the U.S. was aware of a number of these activities, it was very reluctant to come down very hard on Pakistan.
Khan took full advantage of Pakistan's change in status. By the mid-80s, such was his confidence that his network even started to operate in the United States. Khan was after hardware to update his uranium centrifuges, but it was a step too far.
We felt something had to be done, and so we took certain steps. What we were dealing with at this point was violations of U.S. criminal law, as opposed to the Khan network's activities overseas.
Barlow oversaw a sting operation on a Pakistani-born businessman, Archie Pervez. Pervez was suspected of being a frontman for the Khan network, and he was after some very sensitive technology.
I learned that Archie Pervez was attempting to purchase 25 metric tons of something called 350 grade Malaysian steel. Malaysian steel is an export-controlled, ultra-strong steel, which has very, very limited uses. The reason it's controlled, primarily, is that it's used to make rotors for gas centrifuges to enrich uranium.
The team needed to know who Pervez was buying for and where the steel was being smuggled to.
One container would pick up on the 15th.
I want you to inspect both shipments, though.
Sure, I will. I'll pick up the other a week later. The reason I'm picking up 2 shipments, we want to recycle the money.
Recycle the money? Okay.
Okay? I want to protect my clientele.
Finally, Pervez let slip what they needed to know.
Good. The Kahuta client is ready.
It's going to the Kahuta plants. Okay. Kahuta, is that the correct pronunciation? Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Pervez had no idea it was a sting.
Mr. Pervez, you're under arrest. U.S. Customs. Please turn around. You have the right to remain silent.
Archie Pervez was convicted for the attempted export of the material for the Pakistani bomb program.
An attorney. Come on. Enter the car.
But the reaction of Barlow's political masters would come as a complete shock.
The arrest caused a massive firestorm in Washington here. You know, the Congress was up in arms because they just approved $4.2 billion of aid to Pakistan, and suddenly this happens. And so, you know, there were demands for a hearing, and I was sent down by the CIA to testify in a closed session hearing. The congressmen were very angry over this.
Barlow's operation had come at the wrong time for Washington. Maintaining the alliance with Pakistan in the Afghan war against the Russians was more important than disrupting the Khan smuggling ring.
My agency career was basically ruined. I became a traitor in the view of some people who were running the Afghan war. It's been the most damaging experience I've ever had in my life. You know, it's affected my personal life, my career. You know, it's had a profound effect. It's really intolerable.
In 1987, the very year the CIA was warned off from pursuing Khan, he expanded his operations into the Middle East. His headquarters were in Dubai, and the nature of his business was changing. The network was employing frontmen like BSA Tahir.
Yes.
A young, ambitious Sri Lankan, he ran a respected computer business, the SMB Group.
We can guarantee on-time delivery and offer a full technical support. We would prefer a cash payment up front, but you can pay by check. SMB Computers. The cost. The cost would be in the region of, say, 75,000 US dollars. Not a problem. Good to do business with you.
Assalamu alaikum, beta. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Very well. Welcome to Dubai.
Thank you, thank you.
Tahir, often described as Khan's surrogate son, would rise from a lowly position in the procurement network to become the key figure after Khan himself.
Have you had anything to eat?
Not yet.
Good.
From Dubai, Khan plotted his next move. Dealing directly with Middle Eastern regimes hostile to the West and in the market for nuclear weapons.
Assalamu alaikum, Heinz. Assalamu alaikum. Please sit down. Said beta, I would like you to meet a friend of mine, Mr. Heinz Mabus.
German businessman Heinz Mabus had already sold technology to the Iraq nuclear bomb program.
Now, I thought it's very important that the two of you should meet, because Heinz understands, well, perhaps more than anyone, the nature of our business.
The West completely missed that in Dubai, Khan and his associates were not just buying, they were selling. It was a catastrophic failure of intelligence.
In the 1980s, the US, the UK and other countries were watching the Khan network in terms of building Pakistan's own bomb. In the 1990s, Western intelligence agencies lost track of Khan. They really didn't appreciate what he was doing. They didn't understand that he'd made a shift from building Pakistan's own bomb to being a salesman.
It would be years before the West obtained the first evidence that Khan was selling. They had to wait until after the first Gulf War, when UN weapons inspectors went into Iraq to check on Saddam's weapons of mass destruction, including his atom bomb project.